This episode of Void Signal is sponsored by Dark Force Fest. Visit darkforcefest.com or search Dark Force Fest anywhere to learn more about America's premier dark music festival experience. You can also find festival-related episodes of Void Signal anywhere podcasts haunt. Hello again, and welcome to Void Signal. I am your host, Brian Prime, and this week's guest is Circuit Preacher, otherwise known as Tyler. He's a headliner for the upcoming Dark Force Fest in New Jersey, and if you are going to Dark Force Fest, you have a chance to catch Void Signal live. I'm so excited, and you can come play trivia with me and enjoy a chat and make some memories with strangers. It is going to be a good time. You can also catch Void Signal live at Mechanismus Festival in Seattle at the end of May, where I'll be joining Skull Cultist live on opening night of the festival to perform a very special Caustic song. You can also catch me at Gloomfest in September in San Francisco and Wasteland Weekend end of September. This week's guest has been making dark electronic industrial music for a few years now, and it has already solidified himself as a sonic force worth paying attention to. Blistering vocals, excellent production, and programming are hallmarks of what Tyler is offering as the Circuit Preacher. You can catch him performing at Dark Force Fest on Sunday. But before we get to a chat with Tyler, I'm going to talk to you about Void Signal again. Void Signal is ad-free and powered by people. Visit voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal to sign up and support the Void Signal project for as little as $2 per month. You get hours and hours of content, and it goes a long way towards helping me do this. Thank you so much for your consideration. I'd also like to extend a special thanks to Mobius for the stellar remix of the intro song. You can check out Mobius's collaboration with Circuit Preacher anywhere you get music from. Okay, our time is at an end. I will reach out to you again so soon with an all-new Void Signal, and I hope that in the meantime, you stay safe and you stay loud. And if no one told you today, you look so good in those pants.
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah, I can't help it.
Every 45 minutes.
Yeah, I just have to hydrate. Okay, well, we can go ahead and get started. Usually we just kind of start, but I'll do an intro this time. So welcome to Void Signal. I'm your host, Brian Prime. I am joined this week by Tyler is the name, right? But you record as Circuit Preacher?
Yes, that's correct.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm glad to have you on the show. I saw you announced for Dark Force Fest for next year. That's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to catching your live show. So the first question I'm going to put to you is just that you're something of a fresh face to this scene, whichever scene we want to label, but you're sort of just getting your feet under you. You've got an album out that is stellar, blistering from track to track. Where did you come from? How did you get here? And what led you to this place?
Yeah. So first, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. We're very excited to play at Dark Force Fest. I've been doing this for, I guess, a little over a year and a half now. I think the first song we put out was January 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did I get into this? I have played in metal bands, death metal bands, since I was probably 14. I started playing bass around like 12 or 13. And as soon as I got good enough at it to play with other people, I just started doing that, playing little bars and stuff. So I did that till, I guess, my early 20s. Then I've played at churches. Then I picked up guitar, started learning, R&B, gospel kind of stuff. During COVID, I wanted to work on my keyboard chops, and because guitar is my primary instrument. And so I started working on that and just became really interested in synthesizers, music production. I've recorded, with bands, going to like a studio and doing a little EP or something, but I never knew anything about music production, DAWs, mixing and mastering, all that stuff. So I became obsessed with it, listening to all the podcasts and things I could. And that basically led us to here. Cathartic for me, just make something that getting ideas out of my head and thoughts out of my head. And this is what it kind of ended up being.
Yeah. And seems to have worked out for you well so far. I mean, playing big festivals. So, not often do we get to hear the sort of success story that you seem to be enjoying a little bit of, fresh onto the scene, playing festivals. I think your work kind of speaks for itself as a way of sort of explaining why you've come as far as you have. The background is interesting to me, and I do detect a bit of a Southern accent. So I'm going along with like the whole, your sort of preacher theme and everything. And you mentioned performing in church and everything. I would imagine that growing up in the South, and you mentioned R&B and everything, it's an interesting sort of a filter that you bring to that upbringing and sort of to see that play out through you and through your music. How much of a factor do you feel that is in maybe setting you apart from your contemporaries in this?
I hope that it's a differentiator. You gotta have a differentiator,
right?
So you might as well use whatever pain or grievances you've got that are unique. There's some things I hear that are 30 years old. And I'm like, wow, that was a very similar lyric. Maybe they couldn't put the words to faith deconstruction or something at that time because we didn't really have the internet. People were just straight up raw dogging like faith crises and stuff. It's pretty hard to imagine. So yeah, I'm from North Carolina and Virginia my entire life. I unfortunately haven't lived in any exciting place like LA or Paris or Brazil or something.
Sure.
So it's a very, conservative, Baptist, Methodist kind of upbringing. And so I think there's plenty of those themes and concepts that I think there's some things that are important to take away from those traditions, but there's a lot of things that I personally feel like harm society, to put it simply. So
yeah, agree. I think just gaining that understanding of growing up in a place where theocracy is everywhere, right? Like religion informs like your neighbor's opinions, and it's so ingrained and ingratiated, and people are stuck in the ways that they are. Just curious, really quick, how well does it go over when you tell, if you even do, when you tell people the name of your project?
I would say that it's gone over pretty well. I find that in Europe, I guess some people haven't said the word circuit before. So that was kind of surprising to me, just how people say it. But the name, I think it's relatively self-evident. I mean, it was one of the first ones that we kind of brainstormed. I don't know if you're familiar with circuit riders or circuit preachers, but they were like late 1700s, early 1800s traveling preachers because there weren't that many churches. So
Yes.
they would travel on like horseback, and some of their diaries are pretty wild. They only lived to be like 30 something. Yeah, it's pretty funny, but or not funny. I guess some of them are.
I mean, you know,
my bad. No disrespect.
it's tragedy plus time is comedy. No.
Right. So I think it kind of just makes sense with
Yeah, absolutely. It was the thing that like stood out to me because I was familiar with circuit preachers. I'd read a few of those in one of my classes in college, and I liked how well it worked on the two levels. I'm quite a fan of that.
Cool. What class was it?
It was some sort of American literature. We also read John Muir and some Teddy Roosevelt and some people who didn't like Teddy Roosevelt. They were quite interesting stories to read. I was such a fan of the way that it worked on those two levels. Very clever. I know you did sort of mention playing overseas. You played Wave Gothic Treffen. I don't know how to say it. Good enough.
It's Treffen. Yeah, that was right.
The Truffle Festival. You played that one. Quite an accomplishment. How did that go? I mean, for a young project, for you to be suddenly thrust onto a big stage, what went into that?
I released a single in January 2022, and then I started writing. And I talked with Raph from Dark Tunes pretty early on. I would just send him things when I'd make them. And I don't know how many songs I wrote. You make a lot of things and you throw them away. He liked the direction I was taking. So I started working with him around May or something. And so we knew we had a bunch of stuff in the works, and I just kept releasing single after single. And then the different labels talk with the festival directors and pitch their bands on their label. The festival decides who they want to take, for whatever reasons. Sometimes I guess it could be logical, sometimes subjective. But as soon as we found out we had the opportunity, I was like, well, I don't care if I have to donate plasma or sell my car. I'm 1,000% going to this, and I'll find the money to do it when we get there. So, I immediately said yes. And I think that kind of helped with really just being like, okay, I got to write as serious as I can because I have it in my mind. I'm going to be playing pretty much every single thing I write on stage. So I want it to be, fun for me. It feels fun to listen to. So we went there, and that was fantastic. If you ever get a chance to go, it was absolutely amazing. Leipzig is a city about an hour and a half south of Berlin. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go to Berlin. I really wanted to, but it's just so exhausting flying there. And then the festival is, I think, about 120 to 130 bands usually.
Yeah.
And it's spread over about 10 or 12 venues. So firstly, do not go there thinking you're going to see every band that you want to on the bill because they're all happening simultaneously. And it's also kind of hard to navigate the tram. Thankfully, everybody speaks English, figuring out, my phone died like 6 miles outside the city after seeing Horsk. I have no idea where I am. But thankfully, most everyone speaks English there. So that was pretty nice. I don't speak German. So we played at a place called the Mordstei. It's kind of like right downtown near the college there. And I guess it's like an old bunker, like underground. So they have DJs and stuff. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I would love to go back even just to attend again. It was a really great time.
Yeah, and that seems true of, I'm sure with an international festival, it's even more of an ask upon someone to, hey, outside the festival, I'm going to try and take in this site or see this thing. Even just going to Mechanismus Festival in Seattle, where I'm like, I'll have the time to, no, I won't. I'm not going to have the time to go do a fucking thing because I'm going to be tired from the night before, and I'm not going to want to jump up and go walk somewhere and do with it. Like it takes a huge toll, and adding international travel to that, like where jet lag and so on. That's a lot to take in. But congratulations on that, by the way. That's a big win for any artist in this sort of a scene who's coming up. So now that you've got this bit of a spark behind this thing, do you find that you're taking it a lot more seriously since this sort of success has found you?
I definitely take it seriously, like it's a part-time job or something. Obviously, I wish that I could tour, but maybe those cards will happen later in life. I do think I want it to be awesome. I want every release to be an improvement, and so it's just a constant learning thing where
Sure.
you do something and then 9 months later you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I wasn't doing XYZ on that track. Like, you want to go back and fix it, but it just is what it is. I mean, it's just art. Don't want to just churn things out just to do it, but want it to be authentic and lyrics that I sincerely mean. And, I think that those are the songs that stand out the most to me, at least that I personally like, is when it's heartfelt. I feel like if I don't have anything to say, then I'm just not going to say it.
I'm a big lyric guy myself. I pay attention. Some music is just for fun and I don't care. And some music is really good and has terrible lyrics. Looking at you, Frontline Assembly, but it's okay. Who cares? That was the thing that I appreciated while listening to your record was attention to lyrics, and in particular this latest single with our man Mobius, really good. What a fantastic sort of blending of styles and elements and talent. Really fantastic. And the original song also really, really good, and one that I feel is a good example of your sort of lyrical prowess, I guess I would say. But it was a thing that kind of grabbed my attention as well as a lyric person. So yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it. That's probably the main driver of every track. Like the music kind of comes secondary, like whatever sound makes sense with that set of lyrics. That's what it's going to be. But yeah, I was really, really happy with what Mobius did with that. So
yeah,
I think I've listened to it about 50 times.
Yeah, it's pretty great. He's a very talented individual in his own right. And to especially hearing his sound and his style and everything like smashed up against something else that is already very cool. I feel like it just kind of makes some magic, very much so. Well, whether that's this track with you or the track with Phil Gonzo or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's amazing, too.
Oh, yeah, that one's fucking great. That one fucks. So what is next on your horizon for either personally or professionally? You've got this record out, got this collab out. What's next on your horizon?
Right now, I think just writing. I'm planning to have an album early 2025. It's ahead of Dark Force Fest. Yeah, really just trying to continue a learning curve of production and get it sounding as good as I possibly can. I feel like I owe that to the people who have generously supported me or just like one song. I feel like I owe that to them. That's really what's on my plans right now. And if opportunities come up to play at another show or festival or something, I would definitely love to do that. I think it just comes down to time and, everything sounds like a good idea. When you have 50 things, you got to narrow it down a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many cool festivals and new goth nights and club nights that I see popping up around the country that are really starting to take off. So, I've never been to the West Coast. I went one time to LA for like 2 days. So I would love to go out there and to Seattle as well. But yeah, I think I know the most important thing, I agree with what Mobius was saying. I listened to that podcast a little bit earlier today, and I definitely agree with him that, the music is the most important thing. It has to be. So you got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, I agree. In a sea where quality matters, it plays a huge part. I'm happy with how that episode turned out, despite the fact that I was late to it and everybody involved was very sleep deprived. I only noticed in editing, my Chihuahua Sugar is just snoring so loud, like an old man in the room through the whole thing. Life happens. I do think that's a point that is worth revisiting, especially in relevance to your case, where someone might look at your sort of fast rise. We'll use the word meteoric. A year feels maybe a little over a year or two feels appropriate for that. But, I feel like it speaks for itself. I mean, this album is fantastic and yeah, well-deserved, I would say. But
thank you. I really appreciate it.
For sure. So aside from the Circuit Preacher, what does Tyler do? What's the rest of your life look like?
Oh, man. It's, I guess, pretty boring. It's going to the gym, going to work. I play disc golf, which was also a COVID problem because there was no sport, couldn't go to the gym or anything. And so I met some buddies that played disc golf and got into that. So that's a dumb/fun fact. We have 3 orange cats. So the one of them we just found under our car. So he's new. It's Mora, Sigma, and Junkrat. So we've almost got a full squad. And yeah, I mean, really just hanging out with my wife, going to shows.
Gotcha.
Those 5 things.
Sure. Let me ask this question just to sort of turn the knob back a little bit to something you said earlier. You mentioned an upbringing listening to R&B and metal and so on. What drew you to make the personal choice of like, I want to make electronic, industrially, whatever you want to call it, kind of music?
What drew me to make this specific genre? I mean, I've definitely always liked video game soundtracks. You know, even early on, most video games for some reason had just insane soundtracks, like Doom, and a lot of driving games had like, you know, Rob Zombie or something on it.
Yeah.
And me and my brother would just go to the settings and change it so you can only listen to Dragula Hot Rod Herman remix on repeat the entire time you play. And why do this instead of metal? It's kind of like a logistics thing, and I wanted to see what I could do, like writing all of the parts.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, metal really requires at least 3 or 4. I guess nowadays 5 isn't uncommon, band members that are really serious.
Mm-hmm.
And practicing a lot because, you know, like the bar is high in every genre nowadays. I mean, even the newer metal bands like Vended and Throne, you know, the quality, the skill is just, it's to the moon. So, I mean, how do you find those people? How do you organize them? You know, somebody is always going to drop off or
right.
they get married or something, and then the band just falls apart. So I'm like, I feel like it makes the most sense to write your own music. And this genre affords you that ability to kind of write it all yourself, I guess, and bring in performers as needed. I guess it was just kind of like thinking long term, like I don't want it to fall apart in 9 months. And it's just like a fun little stint with 3 of my buddies. And oh, that was fun. We did a couple songs and we played a couple bars and
good times.
I know we got our shirts. Yeah. I mean, no shade on that. It is fun. I just didn't necessarily want to do that the time I started this.
Sure. Live setup still going to just remain you for now? Will you add someone to sort of take over doing electronics while you do frontman vocally kind of stuff, or just going to?
Oh, yeah. We've had 3 people the past 2 shows. Emma plays keyboard. Damien just joined us. He also plays in Dissector and Invalid. He plays guitar and other keyboard textures and things like that. It's definitely welcome because I admire the people that can put on a fantastic show by themselves. That's pretty challenging. You know, you've really got to have some sort of special charisma to really, like, you know, control a room with one person. It takes a lot. I mean, even most rappers, I think, have several hype men and a DJ. I feel like those things are kind of a little bit similar when it comes to EBM and stuff. But yeah, more people on stage is always good. It's just, like I said, logistics of scheduling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, more people makes, you know, adds other elements that can go awry and that kind of a thing. I do agree with you, though. Having a certain amount of charisma or something about you that you can hold the attention and do everything yourself. I just sort of feel compelled to like shout out a couple of like recent good examples. Aside from Jamie from ESA, which if you get a chance to see him, he is such a beast and commands a room in a way that I've not seen too many other people inside our kind of genre do. The other person I feel compelled to mention is a fellow North Carolina resident, John from Seraphim System. I caught him at Mechanismus and I was so floored by his charisma. And I mean, for a guy in a mask, he had everybody in the room having a good time and yeah, great presence. And yeah, a really good example of being able to engage a crowd single-handedly. So
I'm really excited to catch him. I think he's playing at a goth festival in Wilmington, North Carolina, at the end of this month, and he's playing on the next day from us. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see him live.
yeah, and super happy to hear that there's a goth fest in Wilmington of all places. Like,
I know it is pretty wild. I think it's the third one, but I guess it's more surprising to me that Charlotte and Raleigh don't have more large things, because it is a huge population. But hey, the subculture can't just instantly pop up. I think it's got to be like what you see in a lot of cities is like 4-8 years in the making. And there's always a couple people that have been diehard DJing for 7 years straight. And now it starts appearing like it's growing. I think people think it's a sudden thing, but a lot of times it's these local people putting in tons of years of work.
Yeah, for sure. Just the added caveat to that of people are just now making the time to be like, hey, I want to be involved in a local scene. I'm going to make a goth night for younger generations, or I'm going to try and create something cool for others than just myself. I feel like the scene has, at least since COVID, gained a lot of people who are interested in it for the community aspect and for the community building aspect. And not everybody is doing that with the most benevolent of intentions, but that's going to be true of sort of any group of humans, really, right? But, hats off to anybody holding it down in the Bible Belt or in the South or any place that's not hospitable to being an outsider.
Right. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I don't want to keep you too long. We've been going for about 30 minutes now. So before I put the last question of the podcast to you, one other thing that I was going to ask you is that what do you foresee, what would you like Circuit Preacher to accomplish? What would you like to see come from it? And what do you think would satisfy you with it?
I feel like there's some ways that I've already accomplished what I wanted to do, just with some of the people that I've talked with, where something that I wrote really meant a lot to them, but that there's really nothing better than that. But yeah, I'd say that would be my goal, is just that happening even more, but also, people meeting each other at shows and maybe sharing similar stories, friendships coming from that. So if I can be a catalyst to help someone feel seen or understood and meet other people in a similar place, that would feel great to me. I guess there's some artists that I would love to collaborate with, but my primary goal would be that I try to make something as authentic as I can, and hopefully it resonates in a way that there are a handful of people that it's the right lyrics or song when they needed that at that time in their life. That would be a win for me.
Good answer. Agreed. A win for you and for them as well, for sure. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I will go ahead and put the last question to you, which is just what is something that you have been enjoying recently? And your answer can be anything, book, movie, TV show, just what's something that you've been jazzed about.
Oh man, what have I been enjoying recently?
Okay, I can go first if you would like.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. This is the first interview I've done since I've gotten back from Wasteland Weekend last weekend. And what an experience that was. I never thought that it was my first time ever going camping. And I never thought that camping in the middle of the Mojave Desert in the hottest Wasteland weekend they've ever had would be so much fun. Getting to dress up and play Bad Backs in the desert with a bunch of other adults and listen to music and have a good time and trade bottle caps and barter for this and do a quest and get robbed on the street because I didn't have my gun in town and stuff like that. It was such a blast to just go I'm going to go play in the desert with some other adults.
It's really fun. Bands there too?
Yeah, so there were live bands. Dead Animal Assembly Plant played one night, and a mix of genres kind of played. There were DJs in like almost every single saloon. I found, there are goth DJs who were spinning industrially kind of stuff and EDM kind of stuff. And it was just, and there's the Thunderdome to watch and burlesque shows. And there's literally so much to see and do that you will never do all of it. And it was every person person that you pass in the street has this great costume and a name to go with it and a story for it. Like, and their story is expressed through their costume, and everyone is so interesting. And I can't say enough good things about it. It was really, my previous experience are mostly only sort of music festivals. And this is a very different sort of a beast where, yes, there's live music, but people are there for the other experience of, I'm going to be in costume and do quests. And, what a wild thing it was. I'm quite enamored with it. So yeah, that's the thing that I've been enjoying recently, is just riding high off this little magical confluence in the desert. You might be interested in this, as it seems sort of in your theme, but the organizers for Wasteland Weekend do another festival called Neotropolis, which just takes place in the same location. It's a little bit smaller, but it's growing very fast, and it's more of an EDM sort of a focused one, but it's a cyberpunk themed event. So, there are broadcasts and quests and all kinds of things to go and do. And I think they have live music and DJs, but it's a thing that a circuit preacher would fit into, I think.
Okay. Nightclub play at that?
Did they? I don't know.
It was recently.
I've only just now decided that something in the desert is a thing I'd want to go to. So, but
pictures he shows, it looks amazing. The little markets, and it looks like a video game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to just be taking a random picture of yourself, and it looks like you're on a movie set, and you're, It was such a good time. So what's something that you've been enjoying recently?
So things I've been enjoying recently. Reading, I've been interested in early Christianity, different denominations and the divisions they had in the first century. A lot of people see the divisions now and the differences. And so I've been enjoying the different variations of myths and stuff that different denominations believed then. Music-wise, I've really enjoyed Matt Black's new album. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Jen Cab's new album is very good.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm bad with new music. I just regress back to the same 5 albums all the time. If I'm going to the gym, I pretty much have to listen to Seven Dust at least once a week. I just can't stop. Or Killswitch Engage or something. The other thing we've been sucked into recently is Warhammer painting minis. So we went to a mini painting class. As soon as I saw the different armies and crap, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
This is not going to be good. There's a tank that looks like a stained glass church.
Uh-huh.
I'm already justifying why I need to buy it.
I know. I had friends years ago who were like, do you want to get into 40K tabletop? And I'm like, I looked at their army and I was like, fucking no, I do not.
Every single part of it.
I've got an expensive hobby already. Some of it, you can go on eBay and people will sell their professional painters will sell their painted armies for insane amounts. And they're amazing.
Yeah.
Pieces of actual fucking art.
So maybe hopefully that'll be me next time we talk. I'll be a semi-professional Warhammer painter.
I've got a lot. I know so many people who are into 40K that I'm I've been tempted to do a 40K episode of just get some nerds together to talk about nerd shit.
Oh God, a lot.
Yeah. There's so much. If you have not seen it, there's a animated film on YouTube. It's the first episode, but it's a officially licensed Warhammer short. I'm going to find the name really quick while I'm thinking about it. But it's Angels of Death or something like that. Blood Ravens, Blood Angels. It was a thing that was made for their Warhammer Plus subscription-based service-y kind of thing. It's just a short CGI animated thing with incredible voice acting. And to be a 20, 25-minute episode, it was amazing. Really good. I think I found it. A Warhammer Angels of Death episode 1. Is that it? Yes, I think so. I believe it is called Angels of Death. Well, I will send you a link to it. I'd recommend it for anybody who's into 40K stuff. Even if you're not into it, 40K in general, this is just a cool little animated film to watch that's very within the aesthetic of the industrially gothy dark electronic-y genre stuff,
Right.
our kind of goons would like it. You know what I mean?
Gotta be honest with yourself at some point.
Yeah, like, just fucking enjoy it. Just eat it. It's fine. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming and having a chat. It was a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you. I've been loving the album. It's fantastic. And I will be at Dark Force Fest and look forward to catching your set and saying hello. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you again for letting me join. It was great to talk with you as well. And I look forward to meeting you at Dark Force Fest, if not sooner somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And I will let you know when this goes out. If I could just get have you... Void Signal intro remix for this episode by Mobius. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor, and visit Mobius Music, MOBIIUS music.bandcamp.com for more Mobius.